So I know you've talked previously because you speak and I'm sure you've done plenty of podcasts and um, I mean you've had not the most not the easiest upbringing. You definitely you were uh, what was the county that you grew up in?
Prince George's
Prince
County.
George. It, I read something. It's a. I mean, you mentioned how diverse it is when it comes to financially, but like the lowest of the low in some areas. Like it's extremely low poverty in some areas. But if you could share one piece of advice with your younger self, um, who was still sort of like maybe living paycheck to paycheck. So maybe that's in your younger years as an accountant where you were kind of starting the business, but things weren't as easy as they are now.
Hmm.
What sort of advice would you give yourself?
That's a good question. I think I was honestly really good with money in my youth. Like growing up poor teaches you how to turn a penny into a dime, right? So just barely getting by, that was I got that. I was never, even now that I'm wealthy, I don't splurge a lot, right? But if I had to give a bit of advice to myself, it would have been probably in my first year of business to niche down to lawyers in the first year, because I didn't really start niching down until year 2 or 3. Like really going all in, right? Um, and that would be the only advice. But I didn't know I had to go. I feel like I had to go through that to I had to. I mean, from my process was a little different. My process was actually having the interviews with people in the niche market, talking to referral partners to the potential niche market, going to the networking events. I would go all in, doing a 30-day marketing campaign. I would go all in. And I did that 5 times and then looked at the results, saw how I felt, and decided on law firms.
Did you know when you were in school that you wanted to own your own business?
No, I didn't know that. I was very, very, very comfortable being an employee. Um, you know, growing up in Prince George's County, so we're pretty much I'm one exit away from DC, right? And so, and you have to remember my dad was born in 1957, which is only maybe 4 years after Jim Crow was
Oh my
abolished,
gosh.
right?
Yeah.
So his growing up is was a whole different arena than my upbringing, right? So in his mind, in the minds of people in DC, get a government job. That's what they say. Get a good government job. Be a secretary and work your way up. That's what or go into the military. That was the mindset. And so I knew that I didn't even like waking up early until recently, right? So going into the military was not an option. But and getting a government job, I didn't really I didn't want to jump through all the hoops for that. So, but I was comfortable getting a good job and working and just working my way up. It wasn't until I was getting becoming a CPA, and in my fourth year working at the CPA firm I was at, that I realized that I wanted to serve clients differently. And honestly, I even did a search to see if maybe there was a firm out there for me to work at that had the same values and same ideologies that I had, but there wasn't one out there that I could find. I think traditionally CPA firms do a lot of churn and burn, right? Meaning like get it in and get it out as quick as possible. We're going to charge low rates and we're just going to get as much clients as possible. That whole volume game it just doesn't work for me. And working 70 hours a week, 60 hours a week, having what that does to your mental health doesn't. it doesn't make sense to me. Like the productivity even goes down after people start working 40 hours a week. So why are we requiring people to work 60, 70 hours a week? That's not making any sense. And so I knew that I did not want to have a volume-based firm. I knew that we were going to do the bookkeeping all year round. So when it came time to taxes, we weren't going to have to cram all of these hours. Let's just say it takes 120 billable hours to do a year of accounting. How can you possibly do that for all of these clients within a span of 3 to 4 months? It doesn't make sense. And so birth prestige. And I'll tell you, I talk about this a little bit in my book, Raise the Bar, but I was taking ibuprofen, like a multivitamin, for my last year at that firm. And that was not healthy. Always having a headache, having anxiety as soon as I pull into the parking lot. I mean, I would be sick, and then as soon as I would leave the parking lot and get onto the road, I would feel fine. It was really bad. And I wasn't the only one that was experiencing that. And so one day, it was so weird. My best friend was visiting me for no particular reason. I still think this was God sent. And so she stayed with me for a couple of days. And I remember this was right before maybe my 3rd or 4th CPA exam. And that day at work, I had put on the calendar that I was taking 2 days off, because I had this routine where I would take 2 days off before the exam, and I would like cram, like I would study for 4 hours, take a nap, do it again for 4. Like I had that type of schedule. And I remember the boss yelling at me like, "Are you crazy? You know, your loyalty belongs to me." And I just remember shaking, because I just felt so uncomfortable. And I'm growing up, I'm used to meeting aggression with aggression. You can't do that in the workplace.
Nope.
And so that energy that I held when I went home, she said, "How was your day?" And I just broke down in a way that I don't remember ever feeling like that in a very long time. She had never seen me like that. And that's when she was like, "You need to go."
How is that guided in how you treat your employees?
Well, I knew for a fact that I didn't want what I experienced for my employees to experience. And I'll say the boss that I am today is a way better boss than I was the first 2 years. But the first 2 years, we grew rather quickly. So we went from a team of 1 to a team of 13 within the first 2 years.
Pretty quick.
But I was the only manager. Everybody worked under me. Now I understand hierarchy and organizational charts and things of that nature, team leads, and we have that. So it was very stressful for me. At that time, I had people, I had, I'm gonna just be honest, I had people that were just trash employees. I had people that were stealing time. I had people that were just submitting stuff that was garbage over and over again. And I'm just like, you don't understand why I keep getting frustrated, because you keep sending me trash.
Yeah.
Right. And so I had to really do an assessment, because at one point my doctor actually told me I had high blood pressure. It was in between December of 2020 and January of 2021, even with 12 team members working under me, I was working 80 hours a week for 8 weeks.
And you were in your 20s at that time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had gained 23 pounds. And yeah, my doctor told me I had high blood pressure. So I had to trim the fat, literally and figuratively, which is the title of another book that I'm working on.
I like it.
But yeah, I had to let some people go, and I had to get the right team. I had to cultivate leaders in my organization. And so now that we have that, I stress the importance of mental health with my team members. I stress the importance of taking time off, having weekends to yourself. I don't require them to work weekends. If they want to, fine, but I don't require it. Sometimes we do have to have a meeting on the weekends. If we sign on a really big client and we need to cultivate a plan on how we're going to clean things up. But I give them gift cards during tax season so they can get the essentials like water, healthy snacks, things of that nature. And we're also going to be incorporating a exercise challenge soon
Oh,
where we're going to I just have to figure out how exactly to flesh it out, but where we're going to incentivize people exercising, because I have seen how much that has been a positive impact on my life. And honestly, this past week I had an employee who told me that um we had our weekly huddle, one on like a with the manager. And after he was like, "Do you have a minute?" And I said, "Sure. What's going on?" And he was just saying, "I just want you to know how much of a positive impact you've been on my life, not only just with this job, but you have been a positive impact on my life in so many other ways that you just don't know. And I just want to thank you for that." And that honestly made me feel so good to hear that. And it told me that what I am trying to cultivate with the culture of this company is working.
it's incredible. That's a good feeling. That's great.